I'm super grateful to be able to have my life back. This was the main goal, and to really be free. It's so freeing. It's so nice that you don't really have to kind of overthink any decision, anything. You don't have to be scared of your body, and also having this like inner peace in a way, because I think I learned my lesson in a way, because it was lesson both bodily and mentally, and life after colitis is so worth it. So I found you in your channel. It was pretty early, and I was already watching the channel before I could really take the step myself. It was so inspiring. It was so good to know that you are not the only one struggling with this, but also that there are solutions, and there are ways that I am willing to go. This is how I came to the holistic healing path, and I understood that healing is something starting from the inside out. I also knew that I have to kind of get a step back, doing maybe a sabbatical, like allowing myself to heal and let food be the medicine in a way, because nature did set our table. I knew about my recovery with such a conviction and such a security that it will happen, even though I haven't experienced it yet. But I developed this inner security because, I don't know, it was kind of a process. And it was like when the sun is rising again, you know that tomorrow it will happen, no matter what.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of IBD Heal, a podcast brought to you by High Carb Health. I'm your host Shukul, and today we are joined by Carolyn. Welcome to the show.
Hi Shukul, thank you so much for having me.
So Carolyn is a very special guest. She's healed herself from ulcerative colitis, and we're very excited to have her here to share how she is able to do it. First of all, Carolyn, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Of course. So hi, I'm Caroline, and I'm 26 years old, and I'm a holistic gut health therapist. I'm a hypnosis therapist. I started with a completely different journey, but my health taught me otherwise to really change my path to a healing journey, and that's how I kind of developed all the knowledge that I now can use in the things I'm doing and in the things how I help people. But yeah, so I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to share all the UC ulcerative colitis experience, because this was the beginning of something great now.
That's fantastic. Yeah, so let's start by talking about what your experience has been. Like, when did you get diagnosed with UC, and then did you go down the medical path, or did you feel like you had some other way that you wanted to look at healing yourself initially?
Of course. So for me, it started at a young age. I mean, I was only kind of 16, 17 years old. But I know that nowadays it kind of starts even way more earlier, but still I only lived 17 years, and then I had kind of abruptly and suddenly heavy bleedings, and I was on vacation, and I really didn't know what was really happening to me. I mean, I had constipation for a longer time before that. Now I think it's because my diet wasn't a natural diet. I came from being a vegetarian. Being a vegetarian when I was 11, and still my diet was filled with processed food, dairy that didn't come from a good source, and also gluten. And this is kind of how my like gut issue started, and I didn't really know what to do, and nobody really could really help. And then kind of out of the sudden, I started getting heavy bleedings, and it was such a terrible pain, but also I lost so much blood. So they diagnosed it with a pancolitis, that my whole colon was affected by that, and I had so many kind of things going on because in my body nothing really worked properly, and also I thought, what's happening now? Like, is this the end of life? I was really upset, and also I was scared because it was really a bad pain, but also I got underweight really quickly and really weak. So this was how it started, and yeah, so the path was going to the clinic, to the doctors, and they kind of gave me so many like medications, also antibiotics. I have no clue why they are kind of destroying even more in that phase. And for me, it was just trying to get anything a helping hand would like give me, because I trusted, and I had not that many choices. I was not familiar with holistic healing and all the possibilities, and they weren't familiar with that either. So they couldn't really be a huge help. And that was kind of how it started, yes.
And so, what did your doctors tell you? Did you go on medication? What types of medication did you take? And did it help? Did it not help? How did you find that experience?
Yes. So first of all, they told me it was chronically and it was forever. So I think, yeah, many people might have heard that about themselves as well. And it's kind of, for me now, looking back, it's a nocebo. And they don't do nocebo studies, they say, because it wouldn't be morally fine to do it, to have some groups you give like something that makes it worse, and also to have like a test group you're telling them that they get something, and still you're like looking at the study. So they don't do nocebo studies, but still I think it's a huge nocebo when they are kind of doing this prognosis and like telling you how your future will be. And also I trusted them, but now I know today is my power. I gave them the power to set my limits, but we will touch on that later. So they gave me prednisolone, they gave me immunosuppression at a young age. I wasn't even 18, and on the immunosuppressions, the package says that like you shouldn't give it to kids, but they didn't really care. And also I wasn't familiar with the holistic health, but I always had something inside me, like a voice that kind of led me through that way, or also they kind of, my intuition really knew that this wasn't the right thing, because it went away, but only temporarily, and it got back more aggressively. So that was mostly the cycle I went through for some years after the first happening, and the pain got more terrible, and I was kind of having so much bleedings, like 50 elimination or more. I couldn't even count. Like, I couldn't take any walk in nature, I couldn't do anything, I couldn't even sleep for 2 hours straight, because it always started when I put my hand on my belly. Then it was like the whole colon kind of moving again. And I also couldn't drive because I was kind of fainting from the pain in a way. I couldn't really control myself. Both stop it from having to eliminate, but also doing anything in my life. And yeah, also I was kind of nearly killed by a medication in a way. I lost one third of my hair, and it really consumed my white blood cells. They only noticed it by accident. I was lucky, but still, they didn't really did a good job. Maybe also they did what they knew, but I found out quickly that if they haven't even brought up anyone with the result I want to achieve, then they are not the right place to start, to start the healing.
Absolutely. And there are very few people that discuss the side effects or the dangers of some of these medications, right? Like you go in there and they say, okay, you've got this disease, you're going to have this for life. And if you don't take this medication, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And there's nothing else you can do about it. And no one ever explains to the patient what are the risks or the dangers of these medications until they find out, like you did. And it's
Yes, it's
scary.
true. They also made fun of me. They called me like stupid and like I was a freak. I then started testing blood, like I did blood test I paid for myself with, for example, all the vitamins and nutrients I did lose with all the blood, and they didn't really care. Also, I I researched about the vitamins which are kind of the vitamin absorption that is blocked by the medications. I think this is like, if they didn't even discuss the side effects, then why don't they really still try to kind of give you the vitamins that are blocked by the medication? So we had fights and yes, as I said, they said this is like your life now, and they didn't discuss anything because I'm not sure. I mean, both you are kind of a retainer client to them in a way, so why should they? But also, I think that maybe people only go there for the quick fix. I can understand in a way, because when you have ulcerative colitis, you don't have that much time left to do a decision. And also some decisions aren't possible at some stages. I know about that. It's just sad, but sometimes it maybe also feels like that. And you're always doing what you feel okay with. But I always wanted to go out of this kind of never-ending cycle with them, and also with the colitis, and getting weaker by the medicine that didn't really did the thing they promised, because the periods they call remission, they became shorter. And it came back more aggressively. And also for me, it wasn't a relief, because I always told, for example, I told my mother that I want to be free, that I want to live out of myself, that like every human being has a power to live based on just their bodily functions. And so for me, remission wasn't the thing I wanted to achieve. I mean, I want to keep the state I am at now, but recovery is for me medication-free recovery. And it's scary for so many people, I know, but this is like the only way your body can or is able to recover, I think, because all the other kind of methods with medicine, it's just like a quick fix, or it will come back like in 10, 20, 30 years, maybe not with ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, but then you have like osteoporosis and all the things that is like keeping you away from a happy and vitalized life that is meant to be yours.
Absolutely. So the medication didn't really work for you, didn't give you the symptom relief that you were looking for. And something that we always talk about on this channel is that, and on our social media platforms, is that what are you going to do if the medication doesn't work? So obviously,
True.
if it doesn't work, you're going to start thinking, okay, well, what do I do now? And I'm assuming that's what you did. So when you started to search for other options, what did you find when you were looking online? I'm assuming you looked online.
So I found you in your channel. It was pretty early, and I was already watching the channel before I could really take the step myself. It was so inspiring. It was so good to know that you are not the only one struggling with this, but also that there are solutions, and there are ways that I am willing to go, because most of the other things I found were just people like discussing that after 10 years it came back or the medication didn't work. And for me, it was always like when I came across the holistic health, it was crystal clear that this is like the natural way to do it, to like give the body back its energy, and then from that point it can truly go through a recovery phase. And yeah, so I got really inspired by all the videos and the suggestions about food. I came across the books, Dr. David Klein, but also like Star Solution, also 80-10-10, but it wasn't the right thing to do back then. I mean, certain things raw foods can do, for example, like of course bananas you mash, like you have one food that is really soothing and smooth for the colon, but I really came across this anti-inflammatory diets that are just unprocessed, and this is like also pretty basic what you also posted on the channel back then, but it seemed to be the best way possible to kind of stop the whole bleeding cycles. And I was kind of absorbing all the knowledge, both from you, but from anyone I came across. And it was, for me, I was studying law back then, so it was a tough studies in Germany. It was German law, and I was really good at that time. I was one of the best in my years, but still like kind of my main job was healing. And in any time I had free time, in any second I had a free space, I was just like going through interviews also when you started the interviews, and I really got like developed this patient. It wasn't really, I mean, it started with a hope, but you really see the proof in the pudding in a way, and this really helped. So this is how I came to the holistic healing path, and I understood that healing is something starting from, the inside out. I also knew that I have to kind of get a step back, doing maybe a sabbatical, like allowing myself to heal and let food be the medicine in a way, because nature did set our table. And also I came across fasting, and it was really interesting because it was when I had a coloscopy, because I had so heavy, terrible bleedings that they were like upset themselves, like the gastro docs, and I was so scared, like about the result they would find, because they couldn't really promise anything in that state. I was so weak, and I was fasting the 10 days before of the coloscopy, and it was kind of a miracle, because miraculously they couldn't really find anything. They were like, oh my gosh, this is not even a pancolitis anymore. And I didn't tell them, but it was interesting now, like looking back, they were so confused because nature did its job pretty well.
Hmm. So, what made you decide to follow the approach that we recommend in terms of going to a whole food, plant-based diet? And what were some of the things that made up your mind to quit some of the animal proteins that you were eating as a vegetarian that could have been contributing to your disease?
So first of all, that the diet is anti-inflammatory, and that I know that I have so tremendous inflammation going on. Then also that is kind of organic and processed, is fresh, raw, ripe fruits. Like if you look at papaya and banana, they do a really good job, like are smooth for the colon, because if there are some wounds, is how I call it, then it doesn't make sense to push something against it that like kind of holding back the whole healing process. And also that is so simple in a way that how could it really kind of harm you? It's easy to digest, and also the principles. I remember there were like there was a video years ago, 5 principles. It was also talking about sleep and rest and water, and also some movements, but like really allowing yourself to just follow it into intuition in your intuition to look what you can kind of handle or your body can handle. So this is why I find this whole concept of yours so helpful, because it targets all the things the doctors don't really put a spotlight on. That is, there is no kind of autoimmune, like the body won't like kind of destroy itself. Also for me, in a biological way, it doesn't make sense, because like the body only wants to kind of reproduce itself. So why would like a young girl like body destroy itself before she could even like give birth, you know? It won't make sense. It doesn't even make sense for if you are 30 years old or 40, because maybe like we are still able to give our DNA to another generation. And so you're targeting all the natural laws. That's why it really convinced me, and also it's also in other books that were before you, or like doctors that also put a spotlight on this anti-inflammatory kind of diet. So also without the animal protein, because it's super highly triggering, is triggering inflammations. The animal protein, also hard to digest, doesn't contain any water, takes a long time to digest, and maybe also rotting in your colon, but also going gluten-free, really a game changer. And also getting rid of maybe the eggs, because also the bacteria that isn't helpful can reproduce itself so quickly with this kind of animal protein. And it was helpful to get back to all these basics. For me, also sunlight was a game changer. And of course, oxygen, breathing, water, movement, stillness. And the main thing was the power of mindset.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're going to get to that in a second. Because we talk about it a lot as well. And, we've been saying for more than 10 years that your body is not attacking itself. It
Yes, I
makes
know.
no sense for the body to attack itself. And I think when you look at it logically, as you did, and you came to the conclusion that how could my body possibly be attacking itself? I'm sure that every single person that gets diagnosed with IBD and then they get told your body's attacking itself, the first question would be, how is that possible? You know, I cannot think
Yes.
of one person who I've spoken to that hasn't had that question come up at some point in their journey. So to come across this information and to implement it so that you're able to heal yourself is a real credit to you, and to believe in yourself to the point that yes, I can do it, right? because you need to have that self-belief as well to be able to heal.
True.
Talk to the audience about your journey of healing, because there are some parts of healing, like some of the audience may know that recently I had a crash on my bike and I injured my shoulder, right? And the shoulder became inflamed and swollen for it to heal. And inflammation is a positive sign that the body's trying to heal itself, right? So during your healing journey, you would have had moments where the gut may have been inflamed and you may not have felt the best, or there may have been symptoms happening in your body. Can you talk a little bit about that process and the detoxification process?
Yes, of course. So what I can say is that you can't sometimes really watch the healing. Is kind of, you can't really watch yourself falling asleep, but still you're doing it. And this is also interesting. I think it was also years ago I've heard that you are kind of also kind of tracking some stages of the healing with the clients, because, and this is really helpful, because I was living back then with someone and he also watched me, or also my family, and then they came, like, there was one evening when they came to me and said, like, wow, like yesterday you didn't even have all the pain, right? Because sometimes I think you can't really watch it yourself, because you have so many days of having this ulcerative colitis, bleeding and pain. You can't really count the amounts of how many times you're really having to eliminate. But sometimes it's helpful that you have kind of an overview, because it's not that you're kind of constantly healing. It's more like having ups and downs, as you said. And then it really feels that you're going steps back. But maybe in the long time view, you did not. You only got like 2 steps back, 3 forward, then like 1 step back and 2 forward, you know? It's just also having its cycles the way up to the recovery. So this is what I like when I look at it now, I can say. And also I did have phases where I kind of, it came back, but I made a transformation from only having a hope or a wish to kind of being convinced and developing this inner security that it will be happening even before it happened, that I was recovering. You know, I knew about my recovery with such a conviction and such a security that it will happen, even though I haven't experienced it yet. But I developed this inner security because, I don't know, it was kind of a process. And it was like when the sun is rising again, you know that tomorrow it will happen no matter what. And this is also a process, and I didn't came to that mindset shift overnight. It was like, it began with, knowing that there is no autoimmune. This is like triggered from maybe stimulants, processed foods, additive, even also the things you are putting in your body and also you're putting in your mind, because I allowed them to set this limitation for me as well. And I also found out that like the body and the mind is a team, and if one gives up, you can't really achieve your goals. But if you combine them, then kind of everything is possible, which is nice, and which is like your game changer in a way, because when a body is healthy and doesn't have a reason to like develop those symptoms, and still they are a sign of detoxification, because it does want to get rid of everything that doesn't serve you. And I really started to trust myself, because they didn't, like the doctors didn't came up with a healing answer. And for me, I try to look at how they were talking about UC, that they said it was impossible, but maybe it's just for them with the things they are doing. It is impossible. But this is why I did like go on a path that you are also teaching. So we are not here talking about the recovery that because it happened by like accident or out of luck. It is based on the law of nature, and if you're like following the natural laws, then it will bring you back on the path where you are thriving. So, and when I was watching your videos also, there was one guy and he really did kind of a mindset change with me. He said that I built my team around my goals. And then I was like, wow, this is like such a change looking at it. Like, you won't go to a doctor and he sets your limitation. You will like set your goal and only go to the practitioners that are able or willing to bring you forward to that goal. So it really changes so much. Also looking at naturopath and like looking at people having the ability to, or the knowledge to heal others, or giving them the resources to heal themselves naturally. Nobody can heal you, you are healing yourself, but maybe you need an approbation or you need knowledge from people that have the knowledge how to really go on a natural healing path. And it does take a lot of courage, of course.
Yeah, so you've actually segued beautifully into our next topic, which is the importance of the mind when it comes to healing. And I want to just on the screen share with the audience a message that you sent us quite a few years ago, I
Yes.
think, when you were going through your healing, where you were talking about how that you know that you're going to heal and that you weren't even healed yet, but you
Yes.
knew that you were going to be coming onto our YouTube channel and sharing your success story. And look at this, here you are now. You know, you can
Yes.
everyone who's watching, you can see the message on the screen right now. And yeah, it's quite amazing because I do remember receiving this message from you.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just amazing to see that the power of your manifestation, the power of your belief in yourself, that there is no other option but to heal. And we tell this to all our clients, is that where the mind goes, the body has to follow,
This is
right?
true. It's a nice
And
thing.
so if you believe in your mind that you are healed, then there is no other option if you do all the right things that your body has to follow in that direction. And if your mind and body, as you said, are working together in concert, you do the things that you need to do to heal, it's inevitable. It's not an if, it's a when. And obviously that journey can be, the time frame of that journey can be different for different people, but there is no doubt in my mind that if everyone does the right things, that they will get to their goal, just like you have. So talk about, obviously now you're become an expert in the mind and the gut. So let's just talk a little bit about what you've learned from a mindset perspective, because I think it's going to help a lot of people who are listening today.
Yeah, sure. So the thing is, with the mindset perspective, that I think for sure there are some people here, like watching and listening, that are not already in that kind of self trust or self belief of saying, okay, like I will be going to that state, because I also know and remember I was at the state where both I couldn't really believe it's possible, because like my body showed the exact opposite of this for a long time. And also I had a phase where, or like maybe also years, after 2 years I couldn't really manifest in a way that was authentically, like in an honest way. I couldn't really manifest how it was to be healthy and healed. And it's interesting that it only takes 1 or 2 years to make you feel like you can't really even develop this feeling of being a healthy human being. And it was also tough for me to kind of go to the phase where I could really start allowing myself to look at myself that I'm a healthy human being. And all of us, we are. This is our natural state, this is our birthright, and disease is complex, not health. Health isn't complex, it's a simple principle, but disease is being not in ease, is a lack of energy, and health is like the simplicity of life, and also with the simple foods. And that will make you like being a human being that is just thriving. You kind of can go with the flow again. And disease is complex. It's completely hard to go through, and maybe also easy to make it worse if you take like the wrong path or the decision that isn't serving your recovery. But also knowing that nothing is like irreversible. You have the key in your hand for a life after colitis or Crohn's. Also starting with the unidentification is how I called it. Like the healing phase I also went through is identifying myself as a human being that I am, like being healthy. And this was a process because even though my body showed other signs, I try to really allow myself to identify myself with a healthy human being. And also it like took me to a phase where I didn't really want to hear anything about IBD or ulcerative colitis. I was like, no, I don't have it. Like, this is just a phase. It's like a bad relationship, which it was, but it's important because it's just one part of your story, and it kind of separates you from the thing that is happening in your body, and it's tremendous mindset change for me. And this is why I want to share it, because you have to start to look at yourself without like this diagnosis. It's not a part of your character, it's not a part of your personality, it's just a part of the whole life story where you also maybe lost some money and I don't know, got into maybe a little car crash damage, whatever, and like
You know, you mentioned something very interesting there, and I've been actually talking to my clients about it, that exact same thing for many years, is that the final part of healing from any form of IBD is in the mind.
yeah,
And you've got to treat it as you're in an abusive relationship. Like this disease is the abusive relationship, and you need to break up, right? And you need to leave it behind,
yes,
you
that's
know?
true.
And what tends to happen is that some people find it hard to break up with the disease because there is a certain amount of attention that is given to them for being sick, right? And it becomes part of your identity. And so the struggle happens mentally is that if I heal myself from this and I don't have this anymore, who will I be?
True.
Right?
I've heard
And so
about it. Yes.
that kind of is something that subconsciously holds people back, and they'll self-sabotage themselves as they get closer to healing sometimes, because it's kind of confronting to think, okay, I'm not this is going to be not part of my identity anymore, and so mentally you have to work through that and letting go of this, because obviously healing is so much more enjoyable and interesting way of living than being sick.
Yes, it's part of having a radical self-responsibility in a way, because it is your life and it's based on your choices. Doesn't happen overnight to recover, but step by step you can allow yourself to, at least maybe if you're not already like kind of being able to allow yourself to be a healthy human being, maybe just allow yourself to know that this is like your birthright, this is a state you came from, and this is nothing you lost forever. And this is something that needs a lot of patience, because also Rome wasn't built in a day, so it won't happen overnight, but step by step. And I can't really remember when I made this whole transformation from a wish to a conviction. And still I did before I was free from all the symptoms, from the bleedings. And also, maybe people struggling with this for years have family members or friends there telling you, like, what if it comes back or whatever. Also, my family members, they were like, okay, I hope that it will never come back, like, let us hope. And I was like, no, not hope, is for sure, I know it for sure. Like, you really have to kind of separate yourself from anything that doesn't serve your goal, is in the way of building your team around your goals, but also building the information around your goals. Like, this is why I didn't really want to talk to anyone that also has UC. I mean, sometimes it's helpful, but not in the way of telling each other how bad this everything is, because it won't help. Also, for me, it was never that much that I was kind of dependent on what the what UC kind of was bringing into my life, because I always knew I don't want to identify with this, because I watched a family member did it, and he has certain things today, like, it's kind of, he is introducing himself, hi, I am, and I have, and I didn't want to do that, because this is kind of letting IBD absorb so much of your life. It is just like in your colon, you have so many other beautiful organs that are also doing its job. So, and also looking at it to be just in a phase where it's not in the full energy. That also helped so much. So to really look at yourself and allow yourself to feel that you're a human being is a process. As I said, it also took like 2 years to allow, like, to not being able to manifest that anymore, but there was a time where I could do it again. And now, today, I don't really fear anything, because I know I did it. Like, with every second I was in recovery, I proved myself that this is like, it's working. And I followed my inner voice. I know that the first time, or like any time you really come into recovery, it's your first time. It might feel so impossible to manifest something that haven't even happened to you ever. But maybe something like maybe it helps to commit yourself also in the comments, as I did, to take me or us as an inspiration, and to like do it for yourself, that you kind of develop this security and conviction that it will happen sooner or later. It's not an if, it's just a when.
Exactly. And one thing that people aren't allowed to say when they work with me is the word hope, right? In terms of, I hope this will get better. Not in terms of, I have hope, obviously, that you have to have hope and belief. But if you kind of have the I hope, like, fingers crossed kind of thing, that doesn't fly. You're not allowed to use that when you work with me, because you need to believe that you are already healed, right? You need to know that I know that I'm healed. I don't hope that I get healed. I know that I'm going to get healed, right? And that's the same thing. You need, as you said, you need to have that conviction about yourself that if I do these right things, then if I give my body the right conditions, it has to heal itself. You know, you don't ever think like that for an injury. If you cut yourself or you graze yourself, you never ever think, I hope this is going to heal, right? So why do we do that for internal injury? Because you cannot see it, but still we shouldn't be doing that, because if we give it the right conditions, and that is the hard thing to learn for IBD, is how do I learn the information that allows me to give the body the right conditions? And that's where getting coaching from someone who knows how the body heals is very, very helpful. So, in terms of, you mentioned, like what your life is like now. Shall we talk about that a little bit? I think that would be a
Of
really nice
course.
way to kind of close out the session, and then you can obviously give any advice and any final words that you want to say as well. But what is life like after colitis?
It's worth the path, of course. And it's not that like I have my life back, because it's even better. Now I go to, like when I go into the forest or into nature, I'm so grateful, because it's not that every day I'm thinking about, wow, I had UC, but it's just, I'm super grateful to be able to have my life back. This was the main goal, and to really be free. It's so freeing. It's so nice that you don't really have to kind of overthink any decision, anything. You don't have to be scared of your body, and also having this like inner peace in a way, because I don't really, I think I learned my lesson in a way, because it was lesson both bodily and mentally, and life after colitis is so worth it. I'm just living out of my inner power, and it took a long time to get back this energy levels and powers. And I also am kind of honoring my body way more than ever. I also looking at other people, it's such a blessing for me to really honor my body in a way, because it did so much work, and it's so nice to really be the team I always wanted to be, because I had phases where I thought it would work against me, and I can truly listen to it, both also like the emotions I'm listening to, but also the symptoms. And it's such a relief to not having to be scared of anything that the body shows. Also, mostly isn't showing anything. And of course, I'm keeping the diet that healed me. I'm like a passionate raw food, yeah, like raw foodie. But it would never, like, going back to any of the processed food is, it's not worth it. Like, it's not a question. It's when I walk through the supermarket or anything, I only go to the vegetable and fruit aisle, and it's not a, I don't really, it's not a question. It's just for me, it's natural, and I really knew that life like has so much more for me. Is in this path was maybe not a downfall. It was just like a calling to really do a change that is for the good. So this is how life is today. And I also understood that the body is always kind of talking to you, but also the soul is kind of talking through the bodily symptoms mostly. I mean, I got ulcerative colitis after losing a family member that was really close. I saw him every day. And also ulcerative colitis is like showing that you lose so much of your essence, of your blood, and really looking at the thing that your body wants to show you. If you are constantly surviving, then maybe you're also in your private life not speaking up, not always keeping your mouth shut, or something that like doesn't like serve your values or so. Also in relationships, like your body is always like showing you first what's wrong, and then I'm blessed that my body talked or like screamed to me in that way, because today I know that it was worth a path that now I'm happy with.
Absolutely. One of the big life lessons that people I find that I work with need to get to grips with is finding peace in their life. So many people today just do not have peace in their life. They cannot surrender to what their life is and just go with the flow of what's happening to them. Constantly wanting things to be different, constantly wanting, you know, um, to have things that are different to what they already have, not being grateful for what you've got right now, um, not being able to forgive people in your life that you need to forgive, not being able to let go of resentment for things that have happened to you in the past. All of these things are building up from a mental emotional perspective, and for IBD, it's like 5 different lifestyle factors that build up, with 3 main ones: diet, sleep, and mental health. These 3 are mission critical if you want to heal. Like, if you don't get those 3 right, it becomes very, very difficult. And I think you probably experienced that in
Yes.
your journey, right? Um, to end the session, please feel free to give any advice that you'd like to give to people who are watching, and if you want to have any other final words that you want to say before we end the show.
Yeah, I do have. So always remember that you can be sure that you are the only one that knows your body the best, because the symptoms and the signals are for you and only for you. And that is why you can trust yourself, and also that you know your path and how your future will be is just, I think, most important one. And also that I love this saying that the sun must set to rise.
Mm. Yeah, well, that's lovely. That's lovely. So, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a real pleasure, and congratulations. You now have life after colitis. It's so
Thank you
exciting.
so much.
It's always, for me, it's such a wonderful thing, to think that, something we started so long ago as a little kind of side note has become this thing where so many people are getting benefit from it and healing themselves. It's yeah, for us, we feel very grateful and blessed to be able to share this knowledge with everyone, and now share all these success stories as well, which is gives people so much hope. It's a wonderful thing. So for everyone who's watching this and listening to this, what an inspirational story, right? You guys can take so much out of this, and take that into your own journey, and use that information that Caroline has just given you about how to heal yourself, and apply that for your own life, for your own healing journey. So please take inspiration from it, and try and use the information as best as you can. If you are watching or listening on YouTube and Spotify, please give this video a thumbs up so that we can reach more people. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and hit that little bell notification icon so that you can be notified of all future uploads, and more inspirational testimonials like this. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and either myself or even Caroline, if you want to go and respond to some of the questions in the comments, you're more than welcome to do that.
Thank you.
But apart from that, once again, real pleasure having you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show
Thank you
today.
so much, Shakul. Thank you so much. It's nice to really like having to have the opportunity to really be on the show finally, as manifested. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. It's I feel amazed that you said you were going to do it, you did it, and now you're here. It's just a wonderful thing. For
True.
everyone who's watching and listening, make sure you eat plants, and lots of them. Take care.